Hey, what's going on, Kings and Queens? Thank you so much for being here today. I have a super special guest. Her name's Sarah Norrad. You probably know who she is. She's an integrated life and business coach, and she's definitely changing the game right now. And I'm super honored to have you here. Thank you for coming.
Oh, it's an honor to be here and speak with you. And, you know, I've been watching your offerings for a long time and really loving what you bring into the world. So it's a pleasure to speak with you.
Same here. I've been following you for a while now. I think I found you actually on medium.com a few years ago. And oh, wow. She's really changing the game and she's doing them for awards from what you're talking about. So I really appreciate that.
Beautiful. Thank you. Yeah.
My pleasure. So, like, for those of you who don't know who Sarah is, what do you do is some insights for them?
Some insights for the folks out there? Is that what you're looking for?
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, what I like to do the most is work with people through their own blocks, supporting them to heal and rise. So how I see ourselves and our work life is very similar. The self-work that we do translates into business success as well. Because if you are running a business, you're an entrepreneur or you're a seeker or soulpreneur, I like to call us, is you're going to meet your own darkness. You're going to meet your own shadow. You're going to meet your old core beliefs that are disabling. Because as we step more and more into the light, and this isn't just for entrepreneurs, this is for, you know, regular everyday people who have other jobs and go to work too, you know, we meet ourselves as we're stepping more into positions of, you know, greater responsibility and power. And those old core beliefs that are disabling us will come up and sabotage us if we're not aware of them and we don't know how to work with them. So I love working with clients around these belief systems. I often work with people through the mindfulness lens. So I have a background in Buddhism and mindfulness. I also have a background in teaching yoga. So I love bringing in old, like, Vedic views and teachings so that we can use the kind of the old ancient wisdom to help transform our inner world so that we can then transform our outer world. So one of the things that I like to teach about is called samskaras. So this is a Vedic concept, and it is very similar to these old routes and patterns of being that we continually carve out over and over again. You can call them like habits. You can call them, sometimes they show up as kind of addiction tendencies, whatever, or relationship tendencies that don't end up serving us.
Yeah.
So we realize, right, and I'm sure, you know, you and I have both come up against this, we realize we get stuck in these patterns. And why are we getting stuck in these patterns over and over again, you know, that aren't serving us? Well, it's because we're not looking at the root, right? We're not looking at why we continue with these patterns. Often we're continuing with these patterns because of core beliefs that we have around something. So core beliefs that we have maybe that we're unlovable, or core belief we have that maybe money is bad, right? Core beliefs that we have that power is not safe. So there's these core beliefs that are underneath these samskaras, these habitual patterns that we can look at and root out, and then we can change, then we can choose new patterns and new belief systems. And so we can bring those in. So that's one way that I work with people.
I love that. And I feel like it's super spot on and needed right now, especially for like what's going on in the world. And like myself personally, like when I was not doing my shadow side, as you would put it, not having good habits, I wasn't making more be in my life until I started to, like, embracing that part of me, and also, you know, making my habits more like routine and actually empowering was my biggest change for me. So I love that you said that.
Yeah, definitely. Well, and you know that too, right? As an entrepreneur yourself, you know, and as a business person yourself, it is all about your daily habits, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Without a doubt. I feel like that is the old quote, you know, success and greatness is just a habit over and over again, so it adds up to a huge thing.
Yes, exactly. And we have to get to a point where we're okay with being successful and okay with being great, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is it sounds like, oh, of course that's what we want. Of course we're going to be okay with that. Of course we're going to be okay with being seen more and being requested more and being sought after. But actually what often happens is we're actually not okay with that when it starts to happen. It starts to feel really scary. We can even go into like a trauma response, and we start protecting ourselves and we start sabotaging ourselves and not showing up. And then we bring in like old habits that even come into that even further. And we were on the path to living our dreams and then we stopped. Right? Why did we stop? Right? We stopped because oftentimes these negative internal dialogues and negative internal voices win. And it happens, it has happened to me many times in the past before I became more conscious and really started to become more and more aware of what am I doing? Why am I doing it? Where is this belief system coming from? Why does this feel scary right now? And it feels scary and I'm trying to make an excuse to get out of it. When really it's an opportunity to level up.
Well, life's all about. Life is all about, embracing the change, leveling up. For me, it's personally, becoming my best self. And that's part of that whole experience you talked about right now. And kind of curious, because you seem super passionate about this subject. What inspired you to kind of go this route in life?
Well, I think I've always had entrepreneurial spirit. I've always felt that way. In school, I was always finishing all my work before everyone else so that I could then work a job. In school, I always went half-time because I could finish all of my work earlier, and then I worked for the government in the afternoon. So that was my high school experience of life. So I always had this streak of like not doing things the way other people did it because I had this idea of the way that I wanted to do it and the way that I wanted my life to look. And I think there's certain people out there that are like that. We just have this knowledge inside that we need to do it in a way that maybe is slightly different than the mold. And we know that because when we try to do the regular mold, it's really hard and we feel depressed and it feels challenging and it just doesn't bring about the spark of life that we're looking for.
Yeah.
So I kind of came into it that way. And then also I've always been incredibly spiritual, and I started studying Buddhism when I was in high school, and I went to my first Vipassana retreat when I was 16, and becoming that kind of seeker and traveling all over the world and practicing spirituality in different countries also kind of, it awoke in me just this kind of individualization process where I was able to develop my own sovereignty and really further think for myself and really further ask the question, what do I want to be providing here on earth? What do I want to leave here? What do I want to shift here? How do I want to support, our planets and our brothers and sisters, right? I don't want to just do something that doesn't have a positive effect. And that's a big part for me. Yeah.
I love that. I definitely feel the same way. I feel, making a big impact that change the world. And like, I think the essence of that, is freedom. You want the freedom to be yourself, to make a difference, to help other people do the same kind of stuff. And I feel like spirituality and entrepreneurship goes so much more hand in hand than what people think it actually does.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And how do you see it? How have you found that in your life?
Yeah, it's a great question. So like, those of you who don't know who I am, I was born with lead poisoning. So like, for a long time until I was 6, I feel like I was like having a cruel test placed upon me. And that's all, learn about personal development, self-help books, psychology, and my spirituality. And that's why I really used to like grow my wings and really make a bigger impact and find that freedom. Because I was reading books about, The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. So I can, decide my own destiny, my own fate. I just have to, put myself out there and see what happens. So for me, that's the biggest thing, you know, leave my spirituality, and now I'm able to have a business doing marketing, help more people do the same thing they want to do in their lives.
Yeah, beautiful. And isn't that interesting that sometimes it's like, you know, the things that we think were our curse actually become our biggest strength and blessing. And that is something that I find over and over again, and I found, you know, in my own life, the things that derail our life and shift them, it's happening, you know, later on we realize it happened for a really great reason.
Yeah.
And that from it we were able to grow in like an incredibly profound way in strength and courage, and then find that freedom, right? Spot
on. Like, for example, the way I speak is not, you know, the typical way most people talk because of my lead poisoning. But like at the same time, I do videos, I do collaborations with awesome people, I do public speaking because of that fact. So I feel like without that having happened to me, this may never happen.
Definitely. Yeah. Well, you know, and life's path, I think when we begin to roll more and more with the challenges that are presented to us and work with it more and more, I feel like that's where the magic happens. Because I think our cognitive minds can only do so much. You know, we can only think about and process so much at one time of what am I going to do next? What is my purpose? Why am I here? And I think we can get so caught up in that we actually miss our lives and miss the fact that the purpose, you know, for so many of us is to just be all in.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, definitely.
Like, can you just be all in? Can you let go of what the label needs to be? Exactly what you think or what our ego thinks the label needs to be, and can you flow with the gifts that you have, you know, that you were given, and work with them and put yourself out there with them.
Exactly.
It's huge, right? And as you put yourself out there more, you realize you can do it, and you realize there's response for it and there's need for it.
Oh yeah, especially like what we go through, my big belief system is like is meant to be said to other people to inspire them, to give them hope to do it themselves. Like everyone you watch this right now, your story is meant to be told, meant to be embraced so people can lead by example for what you doing yourself. Yes,
exactly. And that's why sharing our story is so incredibly powerful, because we are real people. We're not these made up entities, you know, who all of a sudden sprung up out of nowhere. We have a past, you know. My past, you know, a lot of what brought me to have the courage that I have today is dealing with chronic illness. And it totally wiped my life. Like I had to start over from scratch with you know, new ideas of how to do career, new ideas of how to do life, new ideas of how to move a body in a different way, of how to use my energy in a different way. And that inspired in me such a great change and brought me really to living my dreams. But at the time, I thought my life was over. You know, I thought that's it, right? I thought, okay, you know, at 29, I'm done. I guess I had a good run. And, and that's all I got. But, you know, we got to see the gifts.
Yeah, embrace it.
We got to embrace the gifts, yeah. Embrace the teachings, yeah.
It's a great segue, you know, like right now, we said before, this whole COVID-19 is super crazy. The whole world's kind of going on the whole like teeter-totter with, you know, riots and everything else. What would you suggest for other people to watch this? How to, you know, stay empowered? How you empower yourself even?
Yeah. Well, you know, I think that we have to recognize that we're all human and we're going through different experiences. So I can only speak, you know, from my own experience and from my work with clients. But what I find is very helpful is to align, you know, again with your own morals and with your own intentions. So I do a lot of intentional work with people. So intention is really powerful because it connects us to a bigger force than ourselves. When we set intention, all of a sudden we're like engaging with the power of the universe, that it then supports us in our goals. And we always set intentions, you know, that are heart-centered and aligned with our spirituality and our beliefs, so that we know that we are moving from an integral place. So I think with all of the changes, you know, in the world right now, and it is really, really important for us to pause and align. Pause and align with your truth. Pause and align with what you want to be bringing into the world, how you can best do that, you know, what your gifts are, what you would like to offer, what change you would like to see, what vibration you would like to be part of bringing further into the world. Get clear with it, you know, and then take action, and then step up. And you have to do, I feel like we have to do all of those steps. You can't just set an intention and not do any action later. Mm-hmm. That's not gonna get you anywhere. You know, that's the kind of spiritual bypassing of that old manifestation thing of, I'm just gonna repeat it and everything is gonna work out okay. But it doesn't. You have to take the steps, right? You know that.
Yeah, you have to. Yeah. And to kind of pivot off that, you know, I've tried the whole, you know, law of attraction. I'll just read a lot of books, meditate, and it all come to me. And like I said, it does not work that way. You have to take action. And intention helps with our attention, or what you're focusing on. Yeah. Exactly. For me, it will help me the most, you know, to ask myself these three questions, like, what am I good at doing? What do I love to do? And then what is the word value at large? And answering those three questions help me realize, okay, I love helping people. I love, you know, doing marketing, and people need that kind of services. I kind of found my path by doing that kind of transition.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And that's a prime example of like not being attached to the label at first, right? Mm-hmm. Being more just attached to aligning with your truth and what you have to offer, and then seeing kind of where it fits and what is desired out there, right? I think it's really important that we respond to the requests kind of the universe and our community.
Mm-hmm. And then, do you think there's like a way that's what you've been doing for your clients that like you like found that like message from the universe to kind of do that?
What was the message? Did you say that or is there a way that I work with?
Like, is there a way that you like recognize what the universe is trying to tell you and tell us at large?
Right. Well, you know, it's really up to the individual to really sense into what that is for themselves, right? I don't believe that we can know somebody else's purpose or somebody else's proper next steps. But what we can do is we can really connect deeply within. You know, we can bring the power of mindfulness, you know, which is really important to get still first. Come back to center. Ground, right? We can get so up in our heads, you know, and up in our own stories, but these are often controlled by old belief systems and old programmings that we actually don't even want to use to define ourselves anymore. Mm-hmm. But we're using it to define what we're going to do next with our lives. So if we can work at dropping that a little bit more, coming down into the grounded sense of self, into who we truly are, you know, meeting our own inner guides. I love doing that with people, meeting your own inner guides and seeing what they have to say. You know, what truly, like what you said, what truly do you desire to do here? What gift, what do you want to offer?
Could not agree with you more.
Yeah. Yeah.
And for those of you like watching who probably don't know how to do this themselves, like, you think meditation is the best way to connect with your guides, or like does this happen naturally?
Yeah. Good question. So, I mean, I do lead people through like creative visualizations where we meet your guides and where we meet that information, but you can do it yourself, you know. creative visualization is a very, very powerful tool. It's like, when I say creative visualization, I mean kind of like guided meditations. You know, if you're listening to a guided meditation, they're taking you on a journey and you're following along and you're envisioning things in your mind. Because when we envision things in our mind, the body actually thinks that it's happening. That's the power of the mind, right? Mm-hmm. So when I take people on these journeys, it actually feels like you are meeting your highest self. You are meeting your inner guides. So I think I would say to the audience out there, if you're searching for some clarity, if you're searching, for some truth, get still for a little bit. I do recommend, having a daily practice, even if it's a 5-minute daily practice. If you're not familiar with meditation, there's a lot of meditation videos out there. The simple practice is just sitting and noticing your inhalation and your exhalation. Mm-hmm. And when you start to get sidetracked with a thought, just note it, say thinking, and come back to your breath and your posture. If you can do that, for 5 minutes every day, you will see shifts in your life. You will start to see how you, instead of reacting to things, you respond to things. Mm-hmm. So in that sense, you begin to take control of your life. You're not at the whim of the circumstances anymore, right? You're not at the whim of all these crazy changes.
Yeah.
So I do think that meditation, and mindfulness practices are huge for finding that clarity and meeting those guides, because I think if we don't become more still and we don't slow down, we're not going to hear them.
Mm-hmm. Going to pass us by. I think, like you said before, about not being reactive but proactive.
Yeah.
Like active listening, active mindfulness even. It sounds contradictory with each other. You can be actively listening to your mindfulness at the same time.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, that's, you don't just use mindfulness in meditation, right? Like, you do that practice so that you can bring mindfulness into a conversation like this. Mm-hmm. So that then you're moving through your day with that mindfulness, before you have a work meeting or whatever, you align again, with your truth, what your intentions are, what you want that meeting to be about, how you want to stay, and you bring that forward into, those interactions too.
I love that.
Yeah. Well, and I think in that way, our life becomes more easeful.
Yeah, I agree. Like, since I started, meditating and having a good routine, going to bed early, waking up early, not drinking, other stuff like that, my life is way more peaceful, it's way more controlled, and I understand, okay, this is what's expected for the day, and how can I make this even better coming forward.
Yeah.
And that kind of reminds me, right now, I feel like this topic will invoke a lot of change in us. So how do you think people should, embrace that change and deal with that?
How to embrace change and deal with it? Do you mean when we're wanting the change, or when change is happening outside of us?
I think it'd be a two-part question. So right now, we're talking about, staying empowered and finding your own calling, letting go of the titles and just going all in.
Right.
One, that make us, change ourselves internally, and also with the whole COVID-19 and everything else, externally changing too.
Yeah, totally. Well, I mean, that's where spirituality comes in handy, because if you're, a seeker or practitioner, or you're interested in being that way, you begin to learn very quickly that it's about letting go. That there's a lot to do with surrendering. That, as we disidentify with our old self, there is this falling away, right? There is this, I don't know who I am anymore at times. You become more and more comfortable with that, the more along the path you go, you become more and more comfortable with dropping that old label or transitioning as things need to happen. So I think at first it can be uncomfortable, we have to be okay with being uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. And that's how we build courage and bravery. And, uncomfortable is not bad. Yeah. Why is being uncomfortable bad? We've just labeled it that way.
And I think for myself personally, I love being uncomfortable. It means I'm growing. Like, I found out throughout my years of doing business and entrepreneurship, like nothing truly amazing happens within our comfort zones. Sadly, but it is the case.
Totally. Well, I think you touched on drinking, right? Like, imagine you're in the habit of drinking, and it's like, that's comfortable, right? You come home, you have a couple drinks or whatever that is, right? But you're not moving forward with your life. You're just staying where you are, which is fine. If that's the choice that you want to make, that's the choice that you want to make. I think that many of us are waking up to the fact that we actually truly want to live in purpose. Mm-hmm. Right? We truly want to live to the best of our ability, which often does mean letting go of old behaviors and old habits. And it can seem scary, but I say, try it. Try it and see what happens, right? The worst thing that's going to happen is you don't like it and you go back to the way you were before. Mm-hmm. The best thing that's going to happen is it changes everything, and you fall more deeply in love with yourself and with your life and with your calling.
Exactly. And other people even. I feel like it's all big reflection. The more we love ourselves, the more we accept who we are, the easier it is for us to accept other people and have that ability to live in our purpose, like you said.
Definitely. For sure, yeah. And then, as relationships with ourselves improve, relationships exactly with each other improve. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think it even almost opens you up to receiving better relationships. Right now, me and you talking, I've been talking for years. Now we're both probably at the point in our life that we can embrace that, meet each other.
Yeah, totally. Have the courage to do that, right? Mm-hmm. Have the courage to reach out to one another and go, I'm going to take this risk.
Right.
And I love using the question, what's the worst thing that's going to happen?
I was just thinking that.
Yeah, right? Because it's a great thing, because I think fear can get more and more because we're actually avoiding the question of what's the worst thing that can happen? The fear is just out there. I don't know what the worst thing could happen, but something bad could happen. Mm-hmm. But then we actually ask the question, okay, what's the worst thing that could happen? And we answer it. We're like, well, that's not so bad. I could deal with that, right? Yeah.
And we ask them what the best thing could happen. Maybe more inspired.
Yes.
How good will they go?
Yeah, totally. Exactly. Yeah. And that question, I think, is so great too. What's the best outcome?
Normally probably outweighs the worst 1,000 times over.
Yeah. If I take this risk, these and these amazing things could happen. Maybe something bad could happen. If I don't take the risk, none of it's going to happen.
Yeah. Nothing. I always tell my clients I'm in coaching for their marketing business, it's you will miss 100% of the sides you don't take. Yeah. So you should never be afraid of asking for that sale, pitching that person your service, because you'll already know if you don't do it.
Yeah, totally. And I think, the truth is that there are going to be failures, There are going to be people that say no to us. There are going to be people that don't come back to us, There are going to be people that don't align with what you're offering. And that is totally okay.
Yeah.
Right? We all have our different medicine and our different magic to teach and to share. And I think that is also where, the self-work comes into, with being okay with somebody saying no to you, and not seeing it as a rejection, seeing it actually as an opportunity, to begin again with somebody new that's more aligned, or learn something from that experience.
I think it's about, turn that rejection into redirection.
Yeah.
That way, okay, this is the path I should be on. And that every no, every failure is making you feel forward to one step closer to trying to get to your life.
Yes, totally. Exactly. You know, and I think our failures really show us like, okay, how can I up my game?
Mm-hmm.
You know, we can use them to inspire us. Okay, what do I need to learn more about? How could I have done that better? Okay, I'm going to do it better next time, right? I'm not going to let that happen again because I really care.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Like, I kind of mind like the growth mindset. What helped you, you know, get to that point in your life to have that kind of mindset to like think that way?
I think suffering. Yeah, I think dealing with putting myself out there, you know, and it happened for me more so in kind of, you know, I became a writer and a freelance writer, and I was doing a lot of writing, you know, and you do get a lot of rejection as a writer, right? Yeah. That just comes with, editors are going to reject you. They are, you know, if you're not aligned with their publication, and you have to learn a publication in order to be, you know, write the correct way for it. So I think that taught me a lot about not giving up and just going, okay, like what you said, redirect. How do I redirect this? Okay, that's not in line with what they wanted exactly. No, don't take it personally, right? Because that's what we do at first. We take it personally. We take it so personally, like they're rejecting our heart or something. But they're not. They're just rejecting what you offered them as far as that piece of work or whatever it is. So you can redirect it and you can shift that and try again. And I think, you know, we need to really connect with that energy in us of creation, that we have such a huge force inside of us. You know, we're all made up of this, you know, these magical cells, and we're all part of this, you know, universe that just wants to create and create and create. And I think when we connect to that energy that's so expansive and way bigger in ourselves, we give up less, because we're like, okay, well, that one didn't work, but I can create again and again and again, and it's really no effort of my own to do that. And I think for me, realizing that I became really okay with also the act of destruction, which is like being okay with, you know, something being pulled apart or something not working out, because I knew that I could also create something new and something probably way better the next time.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I would say that's something very strong to connect to within ourselves for people, is that recreation, right? We can call it rebirth. You know, you can talk about the phoenix, whatever it is, we all have that power. And I think because of what's happening, you know, in the political and social climate, that's happening.
Yeah, definitely.
Right? There's a rebirth happening. We need to shift. We need to pivot. The time is now. So it's a powerful time for that. Yeah. And
like, for me, like, I've definitely learned more from my failures than I have from my successes. Like, your success, like, you know, you're so happy, you just enjoy about that. But for failure, like, man, how can I do better? What can I do differently? So I definitely understand what you're saying from that aspect. And it kind of, you know, it does, you know, invoke and bring on stress. And right now it's a stressful time. So like, what have you learned so far, like, dealing with that kind of stress?
Yeah, well, you know, that's where daily practice comes in really handy, right? A big thing that is overlooked often is balancing our nervous systems. So the nervous system is at the core of our ability to thrive.
Yeah.
If our nervous system is deregulated, if we're in, you know, in the autonomic nervous system, if we're in the sympathetic part all the time and fight, flight, or freeze, we're going to burn out. We're going to feel frazzled. We're not going to be able to get in touch with our resilience as much. And we're not be able to come back again after change. So we really want to work at coming back online with our parasympathetic nervous system, which is the rest and digest and heal and create. So practices like, pranayama in yoga, so breath practices, breath work, really great. And there's so many free resources out there. You can look online on YouTube videos. There's so many great things that you can look at. There's also, meditation and mindfulness, cognitive work around, what are my beliefs? What are my core beliefs? Is it true? These are the things that I like to do with core beliefs, that we have. Is it true? And then if it's not true, what is the belief that I want to really take on? Because I think when we're in a situation where we're highly stressed, these old core beliefs rear their heads. Right? And we start to criticize ourselves. We hear the internal voice of course it didn't work out. Why would you be able to do that? Or, my favorite is, what right do you have? That's like a really strong old one of mine that I've had to really stand up to. So bringing in the ability to witness these old voices, witness the fact that, okay, be gentle to ourselves. Okay, I am in a cortisol response. I am in fight or flight. I need to get back to a place of ease. How do I do that? Can I have a bath? I love somatic practices that are body-based, where, we place our hand, just on our chest. Okay, I feel my hand on my chest. That feels soothing. A nice deep breath into the nose and out through the mouth. Okay, I can do this. Simple little practices, right? They don't have to be complex. What are some things that you do to realign?
Yeah, I do a lot of things. For me, walking my dog in the morning helps me the most. It really tell my brain that I'm alive and everything's okay. And then I also, stress works in two ways. Like you say, for fight or flight, your sympathetic nervous system, your parasympathetic nervous system. And you tell yourself that I'm not nervous, but I'm excited. And it tricks the brain saying, okay, I'm ready for it, I'm prepared, I'm happy with what's going on.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, when we was programmed, through evolution, we were stressed out because a lion was chasing us. But now, our bodies don't know the difference between the two aspects.
Yeah.
So long we tell ourselves, this is not a lion chasing us, it's just a sales call, it's a public speaking opportunity or something like that, we feel, okay, I can handle this, I got this. I was designed to do this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then outside of that, I do hydrotherapy, hot water and cold water. I pretty much my body to have more endorphins to be happier.
Beautiful. Love it. Yeah. Yeah, there's so many techniques, isn't there? And I think that's the empowering realization. We don't have to be victims of our nervous system. We don't have to be victims of failure. We don't have to be victims of circumstance if we can bring in these little practices that actually are hugely transformative for our lives.
I think it's about embracing ourselves and the next point, being authentic. That's the biggest takeaway from this whole theme we had going on right now.
Yeah. Well, and the wonderful thing about being authentic is that it takes less work, right? It's less stressful, actually, to be authentic.
Yeah, definitely.
It takes way more energy to be putting on a show. So there's a time saver, energy saver right there.
Be yourself and you're good to go. And I feel like you're totally spot on about that. It's a lot of people will buy stuff they can't afford to impress people that they're not that close with. Or they'll dress a certain way. Well, why? If you just be yourself, you will attract your tribe. You'll be able to be what you're supposed to be doing in your life.
Yeah, totally. And I think that's a really good benchmark too for guidance around, what direction do we go in? What are we, meant to do? What is authentic to you? Right? And only yourself can answer that.
Yeah.
Because what's authentic to you is going to be different than what's authentic to me.
That is, yeah, without a doubt. And do you think there's like a certain practice that helps people, find how to be more authentic with themselves, or to like set away all the inauthentic attributes they pretty much picked up along the way?
Well, I think, authenticity is learned. I think when people say, just be authentic, often it's like, what? Well, okay, I would be authentic if I could just do that, but I don't even know what that means anymore.
Yeah.
So we need to get connected to our own voice. We need to get connected. We need to get underneath all the kind of the garbage that we've layered on top of our true self.
Mm-hmm.
So, a wonderful way to start doing this is journaling. Start. There you go. Yeah. Start journaling. Start hearing your authentic voice, And at first, there's going to be a lot of garbage. There's going to be a lot of not authentic voice. It's going to be a lot of who you think you should be. And then you're eventually going to get underneath that, because that's going to be too tiring to hold up. And you're going to see through it. You're going to be like, that doesn't feel right. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And authenticity feels right in the body.
Yeah.
That's another good sign that you're being authentic. There should be kind of a relaxation and a resting feeling in the body when you are being authentic. Yeah.
Definitely, without a doubt. And like, to add on to that too, I feel like, it helps me sometimes find my more authenticity is like, do like a detox of like social media, of TV, even books. Like instead of journaling, reconnecting with myself.
Yeah.
Helps me so much more, because there's no more external factors like, influence me to be a certain way or to act a certain way.
Definitely. Yeah. Who are you? If you were just to go out in nature for a few days, who would you be?
Mm-hmm.
What would you be doing? What would you be thinking about? What conversations would you want to be having, right, with yourself? And that's I love the fact that you brought up, even put away books. I love reading, but when I'm creating, new content, and like I'm running a 6-month program for female entrepreneurs right now. And I have a lot of information already that I've read about it, but I don't go to a book to create that program. I put all that stuff aside, and I create it from an authentic place of what's coming out of me. Because if you're just going to recycle the information that you read, it's not going to be very powerful.
Yeah.
Right? You want to be creating something with a new lens, something ingenious and organic. You can't do that when you're just regurgitating stuff.
Yeah, that's definitely like the most truest thing ever. And like for me, when I do read books now, I'm only reading a book to like, find information. Like if I need to have a reminder of how to, do meditation or how to do better sales calls, I'll read a book for that one point, and then I'll let it go. But still for that resource, not to become madly consumed all the time.
Yeah, not to become you, right?
Yeah.
Just to learn a new technique to bring into self, not to become that self. Which I think happens when we're first on, the self-help path and the spiritual path. We're like, oh, wow, I'm going to become that. I'm going to be a Buddhist. I'm going to be, a yogi. I'm going to be all of these things, right? But later on, we kind of get tired of that, I think. And we start to just bring those things into us. And then it becomes more of an organic, authentic experience.
And like being authentic is the best gift we can give ourselves and give the world at large.
Yeah, truly. Yeah.
And then another question kind of off topic is like, what has been a moment in your life that you're like most proud of, like, brought you the most joy?
I'm gonna sit with that for a minute. Most proud of and brought me the most joy. I would probably say it's not an accomplishment. I would say the times in my life where I felt the most proud and most joy would be, out in nature when I'm just sitting and where I'm just being. And I think that is actually a really great question, because I think sometimes we're trying to prove ourselves through work, or relationships. And we think, if I hit this benchmark, if I just get married, if I, just, hit 10K this week, that will be great, Well, I remember the first time, like, I had a 10K week, and I thought if I did that, I would be elated, and it would be the most amazing thing on earth. And it was good. I was like, well, that's great. But I still had to keep working, I still had to keep living my life. It wasn't the happiest I've ever been. The happiest for me is being truly present. And that happens, just in daily life or out in nature for me. Yeah.
That's amazing.
For you?
That's an amazing answer.
Aw, thanks.
For me, I feel like the happiest I've been is like when I'm helping other people. When I'm most alive in my life is when I'm helping other people. If I'm giving a speech and know that make a difference in someone's life. If I'm doing a service to my marketing team, making ads for somebody, I know if I do this for them really well, they can live life on their own terms, have the freedom to do what they want to. That makes me truly happy. Like, after that, the more people we help, the more help we get ourselves indirectly.
Totally, for sure. It's that, and that's stepping out of the self, right? And going into the collective, like that feeling of making a difference in the world and knowing it. Right? It's an amazing feeling. Yeah.
It's probably one of the most empowering things that I can do personally for myself, is helping other people.
Yeah.
And I definitely know you help a lot of people yourself, so I definitely feel like you have the same kind of mindset around that too.
For sure. Some of my, happiest moments with other people is when they're making these huge shifts, and we don't totally ever know until somebody else tells us, right? The impact that we're making. So I would also say too, with people, in the work that you do, is keep doing your aligned work and offering your authentic and full self, and offering, the tools and the skills that you have to other people, because you will have people come back to you and let you know that you've changed their life.
Yeah.
But, that won't be as often as you will just be in the trenches with people, because I think these jobs of service, like your job and my job, we're meant to be there for people. They're not meant to be there for us.
Yeah.
They're not meant, right? They're not meant to be like, wow, Jordan, you're the most amazing, and people, my clients aren't meant to say that to me. My clients aren't meant to give me the feedback, all the time of thank you so much, blah, blah, blah. That's not my place. That's not their place, right? But when you do the work from that authentic place of alignment and knowing, you are making a huge impact.
And I really feel like, it kind of definitely corresponds with more self-love we have for ourselves, less validation we need for other people. Like, people like how super successful, normally they're really, in tune with themselves. They're super authentic. They're super in love with themselves. They don't need the outside validation to tell them, okay, I am good enough. I can do this. Like, I am worthy of this.
Yeah. Totally. Well, and that's the thing too, right? We need to be our own inner validation system. So, we have we've been trained to respond to outer validation and feedback all the time, right? That's how we grew up. That's how our society is built. That's what we were trained from in school. What grades am I getting? You know, what response am I getting? That's what tells me if I'm doing good or if I'm doing bad. But when we grow up and we have our own businesses, we can't depend on that. We have to, I mean, of course, we check in with our clients and get feedback and whatever not to make sure we're doing a good job, you know, but we have to go from the inner validation of, you know, I love myself. I know what I'm doing is good. I'm going to do this really well. I'm going to do it better. You know, whatever it is, that internal dialogue needs to be really, really powerfully positive, loving, and supportive.
Yep, it's definitely 100% right.
Yeah. And that changes our courage and our ability to show up in the world, right?
Yeah.
From telling yourself, you know, like what you said, like I'm afraid and scared to I'm excited. This is exciting.
I can handle this.
I can handle this. Yeah, you can handle this.
And then I know it's been pretty long already and probably so you're busy. Like, if you had an opportunity to like tell the whole world at large one message that's most meaningful to you, what would that be?
I would say, you know, keep on your journey until it feels like the right journey to you. And I would say don't give up. You know, allow the challenges to be a part of your path in order to, you know, redirect you more and more to living your dreams. Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah. Well, and if you need to recreate that dream over again, do. You know, that's where I say don't give up, right? If you think I'm going to be living the dream if I do that, and you get there and it's not, then make a new one. Keep going. Yeah.
That is definitely a profound message that everyone I think should hear, especially right now. Like, it's easy to give up, but if you truly want something, that's how you know you're on the right path.
Yeah, totally. Exactly. Yeah.
I love it. And do you have any like special offers right now you're doing currently people should know about?
Yeah, everything is up on my website, so www.sarahnorrad.com. So I do have 3-month mentorships and 6-month mentorships, as well as a month kind of intense deep dive with me too. Then I offer also one-on-one sessions, and I have my Life Mastery program, which is currently running in full, but I will be running it again in the new year as well. So I am taking a wait list for that too. So it is all up on my website, and feel free to pop over there. You know, you can join my Instagram and my Facebook and send me a message. I'd love to hear from you. Yeah.
I love it. Definitely connect with Sarah. She's super amazing and super inspiring. Like, by now, you know that yourself. And I will link down below for you as well, so make sure you check it out.
Awesome. Thank you, Jordan. You're amazing and inspiring, and it's so wonderful that there's people like you out there in the world doing the work you're doing, and I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. You as well. Definitely make sure you smash that like button, tag your friends below you need to hear this message, and share this video, and definitely connect with Sarah, because she's going to change your life. Love you all. Remember, you're kings and queens. Abundance is your birthright. This is your time.